What's up guys, Syiler here, and we're on the Mr. Pandaria beta, and I'm going to be going through the Retribution Paladin changes, what I think of the class, what state it's in at the moment, in my opinion. Now this is going to be more based on PvE, but I'll try and include PvE situations and things like that into the video, even though I'm more of a PvE player. I'll just try and make this beneficial to PvE and PvP for Paladins. So first of all, I'm just going to cover the general Paladin changes that have changed, of course. And the first one is auras are now gone. They've been completely removed. We no longer have an aura bar. We no longer have the choice to turn specific auras on. They're just been removed completely. So no more being QQ'd out for having Crusader aura on. Now, the strange thing about the change is we still have Crusader aura. It's a passive ability that will increase your mount speed, but only for you. So this makes Crusader aura useful for the Paladin, but not for anyone else. So if you're questing with someone, you're going to be 20% faster than they are, which is a bit annoying, and you can't turn it off. So you're always going to have to be waiting for your friend who's going to be 20% slower than you are, and you're going to have to wait for him. This guy's spam healing me for no reason, but eh. Another change is to the Paladin buffs. So once again, you can only have one buff active at a time. That's how it normally is. Blessing of Kings now increases strength, agility and intellect by 5%, no longer does stamina. And Blessing of Might no longer does attack power. Instead, you'll notice I've got 20 mastery now. It'll increase my mastery by 5, so this is going to be really strong for Ret and Prop Paladins. So as you see, I've now got 25 mastery. That gives me what? Nearly 10% of my mastery bonus, which is a lot of extra damage. So that's going to be really strong at the start of the expansion. I'd imagine once everyone's 90 and in like full raiding gear, that 5 mastery won't be as big as it is at the moment. But at the moment, that's 25% more mastery than I currently had. So that's a lot of mastery right there. They've also changed the way our haste ability thing changes. So that made no sense, but I'll show you. So Sanctity of Battle, at the moment what it does is, the more haste we have, the lower the cooldown is on Crusader Strike. In Mr. Pandaria, it'll lower the cooldown of Judgment, Hammer of Wrath, Crusader Strike, and Hammer of Righteous. All of those abilities will gain you Holy Power. So I think this is going to make haste a lot more beneficial than it is at the moment. At the moment, haste is probably our weakest stat we can go for. Crit and haste are kind of on par, but a lot of Paladins prefer haste, crit over haste. But with this change, it'll probably make haste a lot closer to mastery and make crit the worst stat. Now this is just an estimate. We need proper sims and things like that to actually work out whether it is or not. But based on what it seems to do, I reckon that'll make haste a hell of a lot stronger than what it is at the moment. In terms to the basic ret rotation, we'll go over the AoE rotation first of all. So AoE rotation's been changed quite a bit. We've lost Holy Wrath as ret, we've lost Consecration as ret, we've gained Hammer of Righteous though. Hammer of Righteous is currently a prot ability which hammers the current target for 20% weapon damage, causing a wave of light that hits all targets within 8 yards for 4.4k holy damage. It also reduces the physical damage dealt by the target by 10% for 30 seconds. So that may make it useful in PvP to just whack it on a target, reduce the damage done, and then go back to a normal single target rotation. I don't know. I'm not a huge PvPer, so I don't know if it'll be worth that one attack damage loss to get 10% damage off the target, you know? I guess it's going to be situational. Our mastery has changed slightly as well. It gives us holy damage on Crusader Strike, Hammer of Righteous, Templar's Verdict, and Divine Storm. It never used to do Hammer of Righteous, but it now does, as that's a new ability we have. So that's been added in there as well. So our mastery is still just as useful as it is at the moment. And you'll see the AoE rotation is basically just Hammer of Righteous, a Judgment, another Exorcism, and then a Hammer of Righteous. And then we'll be able to Divine Storm at 3 Holy Power, and then start the AoE rotation again. Now, Seal of Righteousness still does AoE damage on hits, which you'll see. Doesn't hit for a huge amount, but it still does that little bit extra AoE damage, which is always good. So we have an actual AoE rotation now instead of like a single target rotation with an AoE spell. It is now an actual AoE rotation, which is good. In terms of single target rotation, everything we have pretty much generates holy power. So Crusader Strike generates holy power, Judgment generates holy power, Exorcism generates holy power, and on top of that, Hammer of Wrath will generate holy power. So that's a lot of places we're going to be able to get holy power from. It's going to make the rotation feel a lot smoother, even though we've lost Holy Light, not Holy Light, sorry, Holy Wrath. The speed that we gain holy power will make up for that. We will also be using Exorcism as soon as it's off cooldown, of course if we don't have anything else to press. So for example, if Crusader Strike and Judgment are both on cooldown, we'll use an Exorcism. Exorcism's now an instant cast, it's not a hard cast anymore, and when it procs it'll reset the cooldown on Exorcism and cause it to do a little bit of extra damage, which is good. So even though we've lost Holy Wrath, we have a lot of things to replace that filler to make the rotation feel just as smooth as it does at the moment. Now, in terms of burst, at the moment Ret Paladin's burst is very high, and that doesn't change too much in Mists. There are a couple of changes. Zealotry's gone, but we can pick up a talent that does near enough the same thing, which is called Holy Avenger. Abilities that generate 3 holy power will generate 3 charges of holy power for the next 20 seconds. So Crusader Strike's going to generate 3 holy power, Judgment's going to generate 3 holy power, Exorcism's going to generate 3 holy power, Hammer of Wrath's going to generate 3 holy power. So that's a lot of holy power we can get very quickly. We have lost Divine Purpose as a passive now. It's something we have to spec into. So that will kind of suck, but it will remove the RNG factor from our rotation. And the class itself will just feel a lot less RNG than it is at the moment, which is good. The RNG was very good if we were lucky, like you could go one fight doing 80k burst and the next doing like 65k burst. It was just down to how many procs we got. If we got tentacle procs from the weapon, if we got Divine Purpose procs, it was all based on the procs. So they've tried to eliminate that factor, which is good. So I'd imagine Holy Avenger is the one that we'll pick up for PvE, most PvE situations anyway, and most PvP situations. The reason I think we'll pick it up for PvP is due to it can be very high burst, as you see. It's going to be an attack and then a Templar's Verdict, an attack and then Templar's Verdict, like over and over. But you'll also be able to use this to heal yourself, as Holy Word of Glory no longer has a cooldown. So you'll be able to do an attack, heal. Do an attack, heal, you know? So it's going to be a very useful ability for burst and survivability. Now, that's on a 2-minute cooldown, but Hammer of Wrath or Avenging Wrath has been increased to a 3-minute cooldown. So we won't be able to line up Avenging Wrath and Holy Avenger at the same time, but Guardian of Ancient Kings has been reduced to a 3-minute cooldown. Whether it'll stay like that, I don't know, but that does mean we can line up Avenging Wrath and Guardian of Ancient Kings at the same time. Now, Guardian of Ancient Kings seems to have changed as well. I don't know if it still generates strength. Oh, it does. It doesn't say in the tooltip it generates strength. But no, there it is. Still generating the same amount of strength as it currently does, so that's still going to be a big burst ability that we can use a lot more frequently now. And we'll be able to use it with wings. So, overall, yeah. Burst is going to remain pretty much the same. We're still going to have quite high burst, and we're going to have a lot better standard DPS, so it's going to be a lot... The rotation and overall DPS is going to feel a lot smoother. It's not going to feel as spiky. Word of Glory being off cooldown again is really good for PvP and for Paladin soloing things, and even PvE situations. We don't have to wait for it to come off cooldown. I like that. I don't know why they really changed it in the first place. Whether they'll change it again, I don't really know. But yeah, so Paladin is still in quite a strong place. As you know, Paladin's always been kind of a bit of a support class, because we bring a lot to a raid. We bring buffs, we bring lay on hands, we bring Hand of Protection, Hand of Sacrifice, Hand of Freedom, Hand of Salvation, even though it's barely used. You know, we bring a lot to a raid. And being able to do damage that competes as well is a big benefit for a raid. It'll mean Paladins are actually needed in raids, which is always good. So, and they're carrying that on with Mop, because Paladins are in a very strong position in Cataclysm, and I reckon they'll still be in a decently strong position in Mr. Pandaria. In terms of the level 90 talents, what I think you'll pick up for certain situations, it'll depend. Now, Holy Prism is on a 20-second cooldown, and it'll do a lot of, well, quite a bit of AoE damage. This is going to be useful on fights where there's a lot of AoE, as it's on a very short cooldown. Light's Hammer is going to be the stronger AoE ability, but it's on a longer cooldown. So that's only going to be used on fights where there's AoE every minute or so. And Execution Sentence is the one that I think Rets will pick up in most PvP and PvE situations, as it's just the pure single target damage. Now, maybe we'll pick up Holy Prism in PvP or PvE just due to how quickly it comes off cooldown. It all depends on how much damage Execution Sentence does. And I'd imagine with it being a single target ability, it's going to do quite a lot of DPS, I hope. So when I get to level 90, I'll be able to test that out, see how much damage it actually does to a target, and I'll make a video on that showing you what it actually does. But overall, I think Ret's in a good place. Now, we have lost the ability to use Cleanse on ourselves to remove movement impairing effects, but they have given us a new ability. It's called Emancipate, and it unshackles your spirit, freeing you from one movement impairing effect. So it's going to pretty much do what Cleanse does. The only issue is it uses quite a bit more mana. As you can see, it's using 6,000 mana when I've got 24,000. So in theory, I can get 4 to 5 off before I'm completely out of mana. How useful that is, I think its mana cost needs reducing a little bit, because if you're up against a mage, you're going to be dispelling yourself quite a lot, and if you use Hand of Freedom, lol joke, you've not got Hand of Freedom anymore, you know? So I think they need to maybe reduce the mana cost on that, but saying that, mana regen is very high at the moment. I don't know if it's bugged or if it'll stay like that, but as you see, I've just used all my mana, and within a few seconds I'm going to be back to half mana. So mana regen is quite high. Apart from that, I think that's all the changes that they've really done to Ret that I can mention. Crusader's Zeal, that's what Zealotry is now changed to. Your auto attacks have a 20% chance to increase your auto attack speed for the next 3 swings by 25%. Do we have anything else? You have Judgments of the Bold now, which will change for each spec. For Ret, it'll give us Holy Power, and it'll also weaken the target, increasing the physical damage taken by 4%. For Holy, it'll give you mana back. For Prot, I think it'll give them Holy Power as well. As I've said, I've gone through the Sanctity of Battle changes. Selfless Healer is a talent. Sword of Light, it's just the basic 25% 200 melee damage. Unbreakable Spirit is another talent. So in terms of changes, that's pretty much it. We'll only be able to use Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm at 3 Holy Power, as I mentioned. Turn Evil works the same way. Inquisition we're probably going to still want to use at 3 Holy Power. And that's it. So going into Mop, Rets aren't going to feel as different as they did when going into Cataclysm for the first time, because from Wrath to Cataclysm, Ret changed quite a lot. But from Cataclysm to Mop, Rets have been more improved than changed, I'd say, personally anyway. But let me know what you think of the changes in the comments below. Let me know if you want to see something in particular. Thanks for watching, guys. Look out for more videos coming soon. See ya!